She was a billionaire, feared by rivals, worshipped by the media, and broken by 1 second of fate. Paralyzed from the waist down, Evelyn Hart had the world at her command, but couldn't move her own legs. Doctors gave her percentages. Reporters wrote her obituary while she was still breathing. And then one night, a janitor walked into her hospital room, humming an old gospel tune and holding a mop. He looked at her, the woman who owned skyscrapers, and said, "Ma'am, you look like someone who forgot how to stand tall." That one line changed everything, because what started as pity turned into faith, and what began as small talk turned into a miracle the world would never believe. By the end of this story, you'll question whether destiny sends angels in suits or in uniforms soaked with sweat. So stay with me, because the man who cleaned her floor would soon teach her how to walk again. The rain hadn't stopped for 3 days. Outside St. Augustine Hospital, the sky looked bruised, heavy, gray, and endless. Inside, Evelyn Hart sat in her wheelchair, staring at the city skyline. Her reflection on the glass looked like a ghost. Pale skin, sharp eyes dulled by exhaustion, and legs she couldn't feel anymore. She had built an empire with those legs, running through boardrooms, standing on stages, commanding attention with every word. Now, even reaching for her glass of water felt like a war she couldn't win. She used to be called the Iron Woman. Now, people just whispered, the billionaire who fell. Every night, she listened to the hospital's rhythm, the quiet footsteps, the soft hum of machines, and the one sound that annoyed her most, the mop gliding against the floor. That sound meant someone else was working, while she couldn't even stand. One night, after losing another exhausting battle with her physical therapy, she yelled toward the door, "Can someone please tell whoever's cleaning to keep it down?" The door opened, and in walked a man. He was tall, dark-skinned, wearing an old gray janitor's uniform. His name tag read Samuel Reed. His hair was graying, his hands calloused, but his eyes, they were calm, steady, the kind that carried peace instead of pity. He smiled faintly. "Apologies, ma'am. Didn't mean to disturb you." Evelyn frowned. "Just try to be quiet next time." He nodded, but didn't leave. He stood there for a moment, looking at her like he saw something beyond the wheelchair. "You look like someone who's used to standing tall," he said. Her brows furrowed. "Excuse me." Samuel leaned on his mop. "Just saying, some people sit like they're meant to rise again." That night, Evelyn couldn't sleep. That sentence, simple, almost careless, played in her head like a song she couldn't stop hearing. The next evening, she saw him again. Same corridor, same calm smile. This time, she asked, "You always work this late?" "Late's when the quiet people talk to themselves," he said. "Figured maybe you were one of them." Evelyn chuckled dryly. "I don't talk to anyone anymore, including myself." He looked at her with something that wasn't pity, it was understanding. "Then it's time you start again." If you're new here, subscribe to the channel, because sometimes the people who change your life don't come dressed like heroes. They come holding a mop and a story. Over the next few nights, they talked. Not much at first, a few sentences, a few smiles. Samuel told her stories from his life, about his daughter, Aisha, who'd been paralyzed in an accident years ago. "Doctors said she'd never walk again," he said softly. "They didn't know my daughter." Evelyn listened quietly, her fingers tracing the wheels of her chair. "What happened to her?" she finally asked. He smiled sadly. "She walked again. Then cancer took her." Evelyn froze. The silence between them deepened. "I don't clean floors for the pay," Samuel said. "I do it because I like helping people rise, even if it's just 1 inch at a time." From that day on, Samuel became part of her routine. The nurses noticed she was calmer when he was around. He'd push her wheelchair out to the hospital garden at night, where city lights shimmered like stars on the wet ground. They'd sit there, breathing the damp air in silence. One evening, Evelyn asked, "Why do you care so much? You don't even know me." He smiled. "I don't need to know who you were. I see who you could still be." Weeks passed. Under Samuel's gentle persistence, Evelyn started trying small things again. Small movements, deep breaths, tiny shifts of balance. It wasn't part of his job, but he came every day after his shift, sometimes just to remind her, you can't walk yet, but you can move something, your will. It wasn't easy. Some days she screamed at him, I'm tired. I can't keep pretending this will change anything. Samuel's voice never rose. You've led 1,000 people to build your empire, Miss Hart, but you won't even lead your own body. Her anger burned, but so did her pride. You don't understand what it's like to lose everything. He looked straight at her. I lost my daughter. I lost my daughter. I buried her with my own hands. So yes, I understand losing everything. That broke her. Tears came like a storm she'd been holding back for months. Samuel didn't speak. He just handed her a tissue, then said quietly, now that it's out, we start again. And they did. One rainy morning, Evelyn felt something faint, like a flicker of electricity. Her toe moved. Just slightly. Her breath hitched. Samuel, she whispered, did you see that? He smiled slowly. The ground just said hello. That tiny moment became a fire inside her. From then on, she worked harder than ever. Every drop of sweat became a small victory. Every failure, a reason to fight. Samuel guided her, but never carried her. When she fell, he made her get up. When she doubted, he reminded her, you don't need both legs to stand tall. You just need heart. Months rolled by. The hospital board had all but given up on her recovery. They whispered behind closed doors about appointing a new CEO. Her investors had moved on, but one person hadn't. Every night, after the corridors went quiet, Samuel was there, his hands steady, his patience endless. He'd hold her wrists as she tried to lift herself. One more second, he'd whisper, just one more. Her muscles burned. Her tears fell freely, but she kept going. Then came the day. It was early morning. The world outside was silver with fog. Evelyn gripped the railing beside her bed. Her arms trembled. Her breath shook. Samuel stood beside her silent, and slowly she rose. Her legs wobbled, but she didn't fall. For the first time in 8 months, she stood on her own. She looked at Samuel through tears. I'm doing it, she whispered. He smiled, that calm, proud smile. You're walking, Miss Hart, just like I knew you would. That evening, she called a press conference. Every major outlet attended. Reporters whispered, not believing the rumors. The billionaire who couldn't walk anymore was about to appear on stage. When she entered, the crowd gasped. No wheelchair, no assistant, just Evelyn walking slow and steady down the aisle. Cameras flashed. The world watched as she took the podium and said, months ago, I believed my story was over. But I was wrong. The person who saved me didn't wear a white coat or $1,000 suit. He wore a janitor's uniform, and he reminded me that strength doesn't come from standing above others, but from believing you can rise again. The hall erupted in applause. She searched the crowd, but Samuel was gone. After the event, she found a folded piece of paper on her seat. It read, keep walking. Aisha's proud of you. She pressed it to her chest and smiled through tears. Weeks later, Evelyn went back to the hospital. She wanted to thank him in person, but the night staff said Samuel hadn't come to work since the gala. No one knew where he went. Some said he retired. Some said he moved to another city. But one old nurse whispered, Samuel used to sit in this same room with his daughter years ago. Same view, same rain. He told her one day someone else would need the same faith she once had. Evelyn stood by the window, watching the rain again, but this time it didn't feel heavy. It felt cleansing. She whispered, thank you, Samuel. And as lightning flashed outside, she could almost hear his voice in the rain, keep walking. Months passed. Evelyn transformed her company completely. She founded the Reed Foundation, a nonprofit organization that funded rehabilitation programs for people who'd lost mobility, inspired entirely by the janitor who had refused to let her give up. Every patient received a letter signed with the foundation's motto, Hope is Movement. At the first opening ceremony, Evelyn spoke softly to the crowd. Once I believed I had everything: money, power, fame. But I learned that true wealth isn't about what you own. It's about who helps you rise when you've fallen. A standing ovation followed, but Evelyn didn't bask in it. She just looked up, smiled, and whispered, "We did it, Samuel." And somewhere, maybe across another hospital, maybe just beyond this world, a janitor with calm eyes and a gentle smile whispered back, "No, ma'am, you did." Because some people aren't sent to stay. They're sent to awaken what was always inside you, the will to stand. So if this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and join the family. Because sometimes the person who sweeps the floor ends up sweeping the dust off your soul.